A Protest and a Party by Hannah Roberts Villeneuve. Sometimes people ask, is pride a protest or a party? And the answer is, of course, yes. And why not? Why not rejoice as we resist? Dance as we demand change. Celebrate as we create community that delights in all of who we are. So bring all of that with you this morning. Bring your policy demands. Bring your glitter. Bring your Supreme Court broken heart. Bring your rainbow socks. Bring the emptiness you feel for our siblings gone too soon. Bring your Gloria Estefan remix. Bring your tender hope for change. Bring your most garish eyeshadow. Bring your spirit tattered and battered by a world that seems insistent on choosing fear and hate. Gather up all these things and bring them here to a place where we don't have to shoulder these burdens or celebrate these joys alone. Come, let us worship together. As is our custom, if you'd like to come and light a candle for whatever personal or private reason, please do so while we sit in stillness, listening to the prelude. Please stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and spoken affirmation. We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague, which takes far too many, too young, too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see out gay kids singing on TV, out gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride. Join me as together we remind ourselves of the affirmation that is a cornerstone of our free faith tradition. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. Please be seated. First They Came by Martin Niemöller. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Witness and Pride by Eli Clare. Pride works in direct opposition to internalized oppression. The latter provides fertile ground for shame, denial, self-hatred, and fear. The former encourages anger, strength, and joy. To transform self-hatred into pride is a fundamental act of resistance. People who have lived in shame and isolation need all the pride we can muster, not to mire ourselves in a narrowly defined identity politics, but to sustain broad-based rebellion. And likewise, we need a witness to all our histories, both collective and personal. Yet we also need to remember that witness and pride are not the same. Witness pairs grief and rage with remembrance. Pride pairs joy with a determination to be visible. Witness demands primary adherence to and with history. Pride uses history as one of its many tools. Sometimes witness and pride work in concert, other times not. We cannot afford to confuse, merge, blur the two. Hymn 170 in the gray hymnal.
gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are going straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are going straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
For Pride by Lois Van Leer. They will march, walk, wheel, dance, shimmy, and shake, block upon block of undulating color, flesh, banners, signs, clothing, or lack thereof. Hands raised, hands linked apart, together, singing, shouting, chanting, silent, joyous, tearful, nervous, afraid, proud, defiant, angry, happy, delirious, tentative, ecstatic, courageous, brave, free. The stereotype, the unrecognizable, the flamboyant, the ordinary, the parent, the child, the runaway, the lost, the lonely, the found. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, queer, intersexed, questioning, allies, those who taunt and jeer their banners of hate 10 feet tall. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Burn in hell. The other slogans, straight but not narrow. I love my gay child. Standing on the side of love. One day a year, 1 out of 365 Mardi Gras out of season, festive, bacchanalian, tame, booths, food, shopping. Underneath, there is a history. Resistance. It was the marginalized of the marginalized. Drag queens, transvestites, the butch and the femme, who, unlike Rosa Parks, did not sit down, but in their tired rage, stood up, rose up, fought back, holding the police captive in the bars they had come to raid. Their weapons, their oppression, their hands, beer bottles, Stonewall. 6 days of riots in New York, June 1969. A year later, a march in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, LA, San Fran, and now any weekend in June, anywhere around the world, Pride. Why do we march? For those who are not able, for those who have been murdered, for those who are ravaged by disease, for those who are still beaten, still taunted, still harassed, still victims, still targets. Why do we march? Because some truths ain't self-evident. Because all men ain't protected equal. And we love a good party. They will march, walk, wheel, dance, shimmy, and shake. Block upon block of undulating color, flesh, banners, signs, clothing, or lack thereof. Hands raised, hands linked, apart, together, singing, shouting, chanting, silent. Joyous, tearful, nervous, afraid, proud, defiant, angry, happy, delirious, tentative, ecstatic, courageous, brave, free. For our practices, the reading this morning is Everybody's In by Lori Walke. Gracious God, is it the glitter? Some people think it's the glitter that makes the Pride Parade like heaven. Pearly gates and streets of gold. Surely heaven has as much glitter as a Pride Parade. There's definitely enough glitter there to make a person believe that the Pride Parade is like heaven. Some people, of course, do not think the Pride Parade is like heaven. After all, who would let all these people in? Surely there's some kind of form to fill out. One must be given clearance and at least abide by the dress code. Speaking of, what is the dress code for heaven? What documentation is required? Of course, this is the strongest argument that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade. All are welcome. We don't get to decide who is in and who is out. Everybody's in. Everybody. Or maybe it's that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade because it is a protest against bigotry, against hate, against fear. A protest against being someone you aren't. Against the idea that only some of us are worthy. A protest against anything that does not lift up love. That's quite the parable, isn't it? The kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade where all are welcome and love wins. We'll know it by the glitter and the love. Thanks be to God. Amen.
hymn 123 in the gray manual.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Wounds only close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to preface this by saying that this service will include topics of suicide, hate speech and crimes, some outdated terminology, and genocide. I would also like to state that while this service is in regards to transgender genocide, I would like to make it clear that this is not the only genocide going on in America or around the world, and that by speaking on this, I do not intend to minimize the struggles of any other groups. In March of this year, at the Conservative Political Action Coalition, political commentator Michael Knowles got a roaring applause when he said, "For the good of society, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, the whole preposterous ideology." In 1938, the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Germany recommended that the phenomena of transvestism must be eradicated from public life. The author of these recommendations stated that draconian measures by the government against stubborn and hard-headed transvestites are adequate. As a trans person, hearing almost the exact same words spoken and cheered on at such a prominent political conference terrifies me. From the records, it is unclear how many trans people were affected by the Holocaust, but it is estimated that at least 50,000 gay men, lesbians, and bisexuals suffered in brutal conditions, were raped, were sentenced to death under the rule of Adolf Hitler. Even after the end of the war, paragraph 175, which had criminalized homosexuality, was not repealed, and many LGBTQ plus individuals remained in prison for years to come. And the loss is not limited to just the human lives. An entire history was wiped clean by the Nazis. From 1919 to 1933, the Institute of Sexology in Berlin was the leading research center for sexuality, gender, and sex and was the first of its kind in the world. It was founded by Magnus Hirschfeld, a gay Jewish physician and activist who was a target for far-right Germans and was attacked on multiple occasions. The Institute of Sexology was important for many reasons. It pioneered research for various matters regarding gender and sexuality, including gay, transgender, and intersex topics, and offered education on those matters not just to physicians, but to common lay people, as well as housing a unique library of books on these topics. Magnus Hirschfeld and his colleagues were very supportive of their trans patients. At the time, Magnus Hirschfeld had coined the terms transvestites as well as transsexuals, and believed that they were acting in accordance with their nature rather than against it. In fact, it was at the Institute of Sexology that the first known complete male-to-female gender reassignment surgery was performed in 1932. The Institute was groundbreaking and revolutionary in more ways than one. But on May 6, 1933, the Institute was raided in an organized attack by a group of Nazi youth. They destroyed much of what was inside and looted tens of thousands of items, including artistic works, rare medical and anthropological documents, and charts concerning cases of intersexuality, which were prepared for the International Medical Congress, among other things. 4 days later, the remaining library and archives were publicly hauled out and burned in the first Nazi book burning. It is estimated that 12,000 to 25,000 books and journals, many unique to this library, were destroyed. A collection of works about sexuality in any one place, similar to the one stored at the Institute, was not compiled again until the founding of the Kinsey Institute in 1947. Flash forward to now, anti-LGBTQ bills nationwide have more than doubled since last year, over 500, according to the Human Rights Campaign. Those passed, which is 70 as of May 23rd, included banning gender-affirming care for trans youth and, in some cases, adults, prohibiting people from using restrooms that align with their gender, allowing or even requiring misgendering of trans students, creating a license to discriminate, and banning books on LGBTQ topics. Those in support of these bills say that they're about protecting public safety, decency, and decorum. But studies have shown that transgender youth with restricted locker room and bathroom access, as in not being allowed to access the facilities that match their gender, are at higher risk of sexual assault. Studies have shown that gender-affirming care reduces suicide risk by 73%. Studies have shown time and time again that having support and affirmation saves trans lives, and restricting that, banning that, kills us. And it's not even just the legislation. Hate crimes against trans individuals have been increasing. Hate crime statistics from the FBI show that hate crimes against transgender and gender nonconforming individuals have increased 587% between 2013 and 2019, and that almost 20% of hate crimes were motivated by sexual orientation or gender identity bias. But is it fair to call all of this transgender genocide? The United Nations General Assembly in 1946 described genocide as a denial of the right of existence of an entire human group. They put forth a list of things that would that would constitute a genocide. And I will read that as it was written. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within this group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Just from this list, bans on gender-affirming care will cause serious bodily and mental harm to trans people, both increasing suicidality and causing serious chronic health issues for those who have undergone certain surgeries, which falls under the first 2 points. Multiple states require bottom surgery in order for an individual to change their gender marker, while many trans people want bottom surgery. Having sterilization in this way forced upon an individual before they can be legally recognized for who they are would constitute for the 4th point. And bills such as Florida's SB 254, which was passed last month, which strips parental rights from parents who support their transgender children, as well as Texas's own Governor Greg Abbott directing the Department of Family and Protective Services to begin investigating parents with transgender children, absolutely encapsulate the last point. Is transgenocide happening? The shoe sure fits. It's extremely scary to be transgender right now, and we need your help. Many people are fleeing their homes in search of refuge. Many more are unable to leave their states, even as their rights are stripped. There are many ways that you can help transgender people nationwide and locally. Of course, write your representatives, vote, but please don't stop there. You can seek out trans and LGBTQ supportive organizations and donate your time, your energy, your resources to help them. For example, the Trevor Project, which is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ young people, who also undertake mental health research focusing on LGBTQ youth. They're constantly in need of donations. They're a nonprofit, and to be staffed, they're increasing staffing because of the increased demand for their services. There's also a newly founded organization called A Place for Marsha to help transgender adults and their families get to safer states, while Texas and Oklahoma, where we are both considered unsafe states for transgender people. They need funding as well as transportation and pit stops along the way to safer states. The things you do as individuals make a difference. Correct people when they use the wrong name or pronouns for someone. Hold people accountable when they make transphobic jokes. Jokes normalize behaviors. Speak up when you see disinformation. You may not change the mind of the person spreading that disinformation, but other people who are still somewhere on the fence might read you making that rebuttal. They might see the terms needed to get the accurate information. When you are out and about with a trans person that you know in a public space, offer to go with them to the restroom. and be there to help if someone else threatens them. Also, ask the trans people in your life what they might need. Are they trying to get to a different state? Are they struggling to find employment that will affirm their gender? Do they need better access to medical care? Do they need help with the government paperwork regarding their gender? This can all be incredibly overwhelming, especially when actively dealing with one's rights being pulled away bill by bill. Is it possible that you can help research, make a few phone calls? What you're able to contribute will vary, but I implore you to do what you're able. And if none of what I've listed so far seems feasible for you personally, transequality.org also has guides on how to be a better ally to transgender people. I know you can. We can all do a little bit. Even if there's trans people putting out GoFundMes for their surgeries, for their escape plans, if all you can do is pitch in $1, that's $1 closer to them being safe. Sometimes those surgeries keep them from being clocked in public. Like, it's about life or death, both in regards to taking their own life for not being accepted and having their lives threatened by others who do not accept them. Please help us.
I hope that was as inspiring for you as it was for me. An Offering for Different Social Classes by Francis Koziar. Now is the time for our financial offering. You may bring your offering to the bowl or donate online. As a self-funded congregation, we do always need money, but we also need volunteers and social justice advocates and friendly smiles and diversity. So if you are ever unable to donate, you are still always welcome here. No questions asked. We are grateful for anything you feel able and willing to give. This week, we also take this moment to recognize one of the countless non-financial contributions that keep our congregation going. Each of us contributes to our congregation just by being here, by bringing your joy and your struggles, your questions, and your faith. Today, I would like to recognize the Welcoming Congregation Committee for providing the service today, and Adrian. Thank you.
The next song is in the teal hymnal. $10.53.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How
I invite you to stand in body or spirit for the benediction and extinguishing the chalice. As we go forward, by Cheryl Block. As we go forward into this frightening, exhilarating, confusing, miraculous world, may we offer our comfort to the afflicted, our love to those who are lonely, and our wish for all to be safe. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, be in peace.